let's take the time a little bit to expand our spiritual horizons today. And if anybody else joins, awesome. By the way, next week we'll be in Nevada. So won't be meeting here. We will have, I'll be preaching in Nevada. So, huh?
I missed that. She was talking.
Oh. Next week, next Saturday. Okay.
Oh, I forget.
Excuses all the time. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, all right, cool, yeah. But then week after, September 23rd, we are back, and then we're going to talk more about that community service. We're going to get that.
We do
Yeah.
have to get to that.
Going, yeah. All right, so right now, let's start with a prayer, and let's recoup a little bit what we talked about last week, and then continue. So who would be so kind to do one good old style conventional prayer? Yeah.
Dear Lord Jesus, we want to thank you so much that we got to before you. We ask, my Lord, dear Jesus, that you would fill us with your Holy Spirit. We surrender to you. We ask, my Lord, dear Jesus, that your will be done upon each and every single one of us. We shouldn't be afraid to ask this prayer, my Lord, because you have good thoughts towards us for our future. And Lord, dear Jesus, I ask that whatever we learn today, that we'll be able to take it with us for the rest of this week, for the rest of our lives, that it may inspire us to lift ourselves off of this couch and to help those in need. That our faith can be seen by how we're there for our community, how we're there for one another. Lord, bring a transformative power into each and every single one of us. And we thank you so much for everything. In Jesus' name, we all pray. Amen.
So last time we talked about that element of fear that kind of interweaves everything if the spiritual is not centerpiece of our lives. Today I would like to talk about that 9-to-5 balance. So this is one of those things that has been super popular lately, especially with younger generations, where people always try to find, okay, I want to be financially stable. I want to be independent. I want to have all of these things in life and so on. But at the same time, I want to travel. I want to have fun. I want to have time for the family and so on. And very quickly, you realize that the balance is impossible. That having all of these things, I mean, the only thing you can do it is if you win the lottery. But essentially, we live in a world where if you want to commit to all of these things and have all of these things, something's got to give. So when we talk about balance in your 9-to-5, in your professional life, who you are, what accomplishment in your profession, in our professional lives, in the long run, is measured with a paycheck, or how much did we get closer to securing our retirement funds? Let's put it that way. But how do you measure sacrifice of your professional life for the sake of other spheres of your life? At what point you say, okay, I have to sacrifice my professional life for other stuff? How do you know it's time to make sacrifices? Does it make sense?
I personally do. I saw the life that my father had, where he worked so hard so that he could provide for his family. But it was to the point that his health, his relationships were suffering because of it. And when I asked myself what I really wanted in my life and how I wanted to see, I wanted to really build relationships. I wanted to spend time with them. So relationships and health were my defining moments for taking care of myself. And where I started sacrificing my professional. Is that what you're talking about?
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm wondering. So like 9 to 5 for most of us, actually pretty much for all of us here, is a very standard routine. You already know, okay, it might be different here, different there, we have a different client, you have to take a different approach, but essentially you already know how your 9 to 5 is going to look like. And at one point you stop and say, okay, if I don't change this routine, something is going to break in other areas of my life. Something is going to break in my family, something is going to break in my health, something is going to break in my social interactions, you know. So I have to change this routine in order to preserve other areas of my life. That's what I'm asking you. How do you guys, like, what is the aha moment? Okay, this is the time where I need to change.
She notices it from me. Right, we haven't been spending as much time together or something. Like during school, it was rough. Like, I don't have that fear of missing out on things that people have. But like life was, I was like, okay, I just gotta stick this through and I'll be done. And then I could have fun, do whatever, get on with my life. And then it was taking a toll on her as well. She didn't see me, I didn't see her. Like, when was the last time we had dinner together? Or when was the last time we did something? I'm like, I don't even know. So then it's like, kind of reevaluate everything and then prioritize. Like, yeah, school is like important at that time, but I still had to, I prioritize like, okay, during this time when she's at work, I'm gonna study or whatever, and then when she gets home, we can have dinner and go do something, whatever.
Okay.
Instead of just like, oh, I gotta cram this through the night, and then.
So essentially what you're saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, and you guys interject if you think different, but we start, like that aha moment is the moment of some kind of pain. When somebody gets hurt, it's kind of like everything is fun and games until blood is shed. Then it's like, okay, let's stop and reassess and reevaluate and see how are we going to do this again. It seems that this is the typical thing in our society, where people don't kind of reflect on where they are and what's going on until it actually starts bleeding. And but more or less, you know, it's kind of you know, like that. And but by the time it bleeds, it means that you already passed too far. Now you need to go back and restore and fix and so on. And you didn't. And the bottom line is, if you balanced it right, sooner you wouldn't even be here where you are right now. And a lot of things that are strained in life are strained because that's what we do. We push it until it breaks. And then when it breaks, you first have to fix it and then figure out how to balance it properly. So this 9 to 5 concept in our world, in our society, is like the most important thing in life. And everything else should kind of bow down to the 9 to 5 life. You know, everything else is sacrificed sooner than 9 to 5.
I was actually talking to a client about this, and she said that she took one of her sick days, and that they have a right to take a sick day without being asked why they're sick. Like someone actually, her other coworker says, like, oh, I'm sick of work. But in essence, it could be seen as a mental health day. Being able to take that time off so that you yourself can regain some vigor and some strength to continue going again for the 9 to 5. Yeah, it's just.
So the thing, the Bible verses that I have for today that I would like us to go through, I would like to lay out an idea where don't wait to get sick of work to take a sick day, kind of like that. And frankly, as we go through these verses, you will see that a lot of things that are described in the Bible talk about this balance actually being a lifestyle. Like the underlying current that is driving your schedule is not success. is not goals, is not achievements, but it's actually the balance. Because you might not achieve as much as you would if you put all of your eggs in that basket in your professional sense, but if you maintain the balance, you will achieve much more in a diversified sense of your life. Where, yeah, you made less money this year, but your family life is amazing. And your health is much better than it was a year ago, but it costs you to keep that balance. So let's start with this. Let's find third book of John, third letter of John, and read the beginning of it. Oops. Come on. Yes. So, who would be so kind to read first 3 verses of this very short
Got the verse.
beginning? First 2.
First,
I'll read the first 2 verses. The elder to the beloved Gaius, whom I love in truth. Beloved, I pray that all may go well with you, and that you may be in good health as it goes well with your soul.
Now, when you read this verse, so John, this is a greeting. This is really, there is no really like a special message here or anything else. John is just kind of, he starts writing his letter, and he writes a greeting to Gaius, who is one of the elders in one of the churches. We don't know the details, where he was or who he was or anything like this, but apparently he was an important figure in one of the churches that John is writing the letter to. But what's interesting to me is the way that John forms this greeting. So I want you to look at it and tell me, based on this greeting, what was the best part of life of this guy, Gaius? Where was he already making a home run?
Whom I love in truth.
Huh?
Whom I love in truth.
No. Verse 2, sorry.
Oh,
Verse
sorry.
2. So, verse 2 describes a little bit of what John knows about Gaius. But it's an interesting idea. Like he mentions several layers of his life over here, but one of those layers of Gaius' life is already made a home run. That's what I'm asking you. Where? That's so cool. Yeah. Like everything else is compared to how well is your soul, you know? And apparently John considered that his soul is well, because he says, I pray that all may go well with you. All is a pretty broad kind of everything that's on this table, like all of the aspects of your life. But then he makes an emphasis. An emphasis is, and that you may be in good health as it goes well with your soul. Now, if you would compare your soul health and your body health, would you say that they are in balance? Patricia was like, okay, why not?
Neglect, laziness,
Okay.
ignorance.
Okay, all of these things are. Go ahead.
Like we went over it before, kind of like that body, health, and mind,
Uh-huh.
or body, mind, and spirit.
Uh-huh.
So it was like when you pay attention more to one and the other one's neglected, but we're not in tune with it. Where if we were to like pay attention more to our soul, then our health would be in line and our mind would be in line and everything. But we were kind of like pushing buttons through life, and we don't know which one turns off the grinder or whatever kind of thing.
Okay, so yeah, okay. Thank you for bringing that up. That was something I wanted us to go to. But first, I would just like us to think about this. So Laura kind of started knocking on some things that are things. These are the things that are kind of maintaining lack of balance. But where does it start? So apparently his soul was good, this guy, Gaius, but probably John wished him physical health as well because it might had not been as good. Now, if you look at, for example, what you guys remember from the life of Jesus and his disciples, they were not keeping that balance at all, if you remember that. Like you remember that story when they said that they were constantly with people and they were preaching and healing and helping to the point where they didn't have the time to take a break to eat something. And then Jesus is like, okay guys, time out. Okay, on a side, over here, let's get to the box and let's get you guys recovered. And then he would get them on a boat, and he's over there, and that was the only way that he could actually find some peaceful time for themselves, where they would just, okay, let's go on the boat, let's go on the lake. And even then they would follow them. Even then people would fill up the boats and follow them. It's like, come on, leave us alone already, Let's bring a storm in, to kind of, give us some private time so we can talk. But Jesus had this idea of maintaining the balance, but they were not really doing it. And they would justify that, well, things need to be done. So many people need helping, so many people need healing, we need to preach the good news, everybody needs to know that, the kingdom of God is coming and so on. And they would justify that. Now, would you say that that was justified or not?
Salvation. You want to, like, to the point where God said, like, I want you to love me more than you love your own life, more than you love, like, food is more than just bread. Food, like, more than your own mother.
Okay.
And that this is going to be a very straight and narrow road. You need to put your all into it, as one that searches for treasure.
Okay. So in that sense, if somebody's profession is a doctor, for example, or a nurse or a PT, who is working for betterment of other people and help getting better, it's perfectly justified for them to get overworked because they're doing that for a higher cause. It's perfectly fine for a husband to take 2 shifts, and you'll be fine with that because the goal justifies the.
I was thinking more about like the faith, but if it comes to anything else, I was like more faith.
Oh,
but
okay.
if it was anything else, it's just like no, you take care of your health. There's this something I read that said, like, how can you take care of others if you are empty yourself? You need to take care of your own health. Then you can have more energy to take care of those that need it.
When disciples were working, teaching, preaching, helping, healing, and so on, who was the one to interrupt that? Like Jesus himself is like, no, that's it. You're done. That's it. That's enough. You got to take a break. You got to take time for yourself. You got to stop and recharge. Now, the balance in our physical health is very, very important. It was important to Jesus with his disciples. Over here, John brings it up. He says, may everything be good in your life, and then he singles out health. And may you be healthy and be good as your soul is good. So he is not singling out health just for no reason. Health counts. There's that old ancient Greek saying, mens sana in corpore sano. Healthy spirit in a healthy body. That's why they maintained, I mean, the Olympics come from that time. They made the whole country maintained an idea that your body needs to be healthy in order for your spirit to thrive. It wasn't the other way around. And they had free gyms, like everywhere. Every single corner, there was a gym on every corner, and it was free for everybody to use. And they had free trainings and free teachers and everything because they wanted to make sure that the whole population is in physical tip-top condition. Over here, John puts a similar emphasis on it. Your soul is good, Gaius. You're okay. You're saved. You're close to God. Your spiritual life is amazing. That is great. But now, your body needs to match that. You know? If your body is not matching it, you're not good. Makes sense? So, how do we in our society usually treat our bodies? What is the best compliment you get for your 9 to 5? I'm so exhausted. You know when somebody says, I'm so exhausted, dude, I only slept 5 hours tops this week because I was so busy with stuff, with work and everything else. And everybody is like, yeah. Huh? Yeah, exactly. Keep at it. You're winning, you know. Why? Why is our society like that?
They value work ethic more than they value human life.
Okay. All right. But all of us embrace that as a norm. Why do we do that?
It's been pressed into us over time. Like you just, at one point you're just accepted it, and then it just became routine.
So just heads up, this allergy thing is affecting my ears as well, and I don't hear that well. Seriously, I literally feel like inside of my ears is swollen. Like this, when I press this here on both sides, it hurts. Like this really hurts. Huh? Quit?
Yeah.
Or I didn't hear it say quit or keep.
Well, it's like it hurts. It's like quit pushing on it.
Okay. Yeah. So if I ask you to repeat, I mean, just speak up. You know, that's like that would make it a little bit easier. Now, even though we know, like for example, like we are aware, God wants us to maintain this balance between physical health and spiritual health. They need to match. Because here's what's going to happen. The reason John says this, may your health be good as your soul is good, is this. If your health is not good enough, your soul is going to start matching. You know what I'm saying? So like we thrive in a healthy spiritual environment with a healthy spiritual experience. But if we neglect our physical health, as pretty much even, that's the Old Testament says your, how does it say, your spiritual strength shrinks as your body is weak. I can't remember, it's probably Proverbs or something like that. But essentially, you lose physical strength, your spiritual strength kind of deteriorates as well. So, keeping this balance in mind, and now just assess yourself real quick. Would you say that you're doing it or not?
I can see, so recently I've been focusing a little bit on like incorporating a little bit more healthier habits into my daily life. And I realize that the more healthy I am, the clearer my mindset is, and the less I want to spend on things to cope with my exhaustion.
Okay.
Either with watching TV or being on my phone. Which then opens me up to wanting to paint, wanting to read the Bible, and then just focusing on like, okay, maybe this part of the Bible I'm not, I hate saying this, was not not as exciting to read. So I'm going to focus on things that I enjoy reading, like the Book of Esther. And 'cause it seems like a movie to me. So then I'm like, oh, I'm enjoying this. I'm actually having fun doing this. And I'm realizing that it's coming from the fact that I am not so focused on my phone, so focused on the TV, because I am taking care of my health. I don't feel as exhausted as I was before.
And all of these things have like a snowball effect. Once you start investing, it's going to keep pulling you more and more. And you really, and there is really a difference when you pay attention to your health. When you're healthiest, you can peak spiritually much better than when you are just drowsy. Like these medications right now that I took these last 2 days, they are knocking me down. And it's so frustrating because yesterday, I remember I'm taking time for a devotional, and it's just not getting, I'm not getting through, you know? It's like it almost feels like being in the mud and trying to drag through this. And when I'm fine, when I'm healthy, and interestingly, when I'm hungry, like if I skip a meal, when I'm hungry, there is kind of connection with God is clear. It's crazy, you know. But if I don't pay attention to it, and I should be doing it more, I feel it. I see it in my spiritual life. Yeah. So that's number one: balance, physical balance. 9 to 5. If we don't keep that balance, our 9 to 5 is going to start suffering as well, you know. Then, I'm sorry I dragged this one too long. We have 5 things that I wanted us to discuss. Next one is in Philippians 4, verse 8. This is a mental balance. Philippians chapter 4, verse 8. Somebody else.
Okay. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things.
Thank you very much. Now, mental balance with our 9 to 5. How many times happens in a day to you during your 9 to 5 that completely opposite things cross your mind to what Patricia just read? Daily. What does it mean to maintain a healthy mental balance in your 9 to 5? Through the perspective of this verse that we just read. How do you guys see this? Do you see this verse as an ideal? Something that is up there, hopefully attainable in some future? Or do you see this as a possible reflection of the whole next week that is ahead of you?
I like that you said next week. Even
Okay.
tomorrow.
Yeah. Now, what does it take? That is the question.
Practice. It takes a lot of practice because a lot of it's so much easier to be in a bad mental state or like thinking badly of others or saying like, oh, this is not going to do right, or I'm going to be terrible at this or that. It's so easy to be negative, but it's the hardest part to be positive, to constantly be like, it's okay, like if I don't got this, like if I don't finish this, it's not a big deal. Like if I don't get that deadline, it's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. So it's like that constant reminder to be kind to yourself.
And what about other people? What about when other people show up and they're a perfect image of everything that is opposite to this?
Opposite.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every day you deal with it. So the question is, you see, we are constantly influenced every day by people who are not just not maintaining this balance, but they're A lot of people deliberately maintain that negative balance in their lives. They even identify with it. You know, a lot of people are identified with contempt, with anger, with all of these things, and you have to deal with them.
My coworker, she found complaining soothing.
That's
So she was always complaining every day, and I was like, there would be some days I'm like, hey, I need you to tone it down. Like, there's so much I can take.
That's, you see, but that is where a lot of people are. So you had your hand up.
I have to retrace as to what I wanted to say. I think love plays a really big part in other people being negative.
Okay.
Because when you're able to see them the way that Christ sees them, sometimes whenever I see someone that I just do not like and it makes me so upset, I'm like, Lord, somehow you died for this person and you love them so much. You love them so, so much. And I need you to help me
I
out.
don't know why.
Yeah, it's like
Lord, you know, you.
I always tell God, I'm like, your child is bothering me today.
That's nice. I like that.
To hear with me, they're bothering me.
But like having that love can really just, because I see like I'm not 100%, and God still loves me, and to have that grace for someone else and understand that they're not always going to be 100%, and maybe they've come to the point that they identify with this situation and that this is who they think that they are forever. They're just pessimistic, angry, whatever it is. Having that love for them covers that. And then you're able to deal with that in a much more compassionate way and see them hopefully through God's eyes a little bit and to have a little bit of understanding, like maybe they just had a really bad day. And even if this is who they are, I can respect them as an adult, that this is what they've chosen for their life, but I don't have to choose to reflect that.
Okay. Okay. So sometimes protecting yourself literally means distancing yourself from some people. Sometimes protecting yourself means challenging them, confronting them about their negative attitudes. But one thing is definitely a constant over here. Like over here, Paul requires action. And this is the action that he requires. And he says like, okay, these things have to be on your mind. It's not something passive, that something is just there, you know, because when you're passive, like, I feel good, but then somebody shows up who doesn't feel that good, and then the energy drops, you know. The whole concept of mental balance is being constantly active in who you are, or at least in who you want to be.
I like that you said constantly active, because I was thinking like if someone like changes the energy of the space, as much as they had that power to change the energy to a negative sense, we yourselves have the energy to change it to a positive one. And we have to be active on that instead of being passive on it. We so much allow this type of environment to happen because we're so afraid of confrontation, even if it's a good positive one.
One cool thing is, and that's how this verse seems to me. You guys probably heard of a mental bubble. So it's like you create your own personal bubble, but not in a sense where like nobody can get in there and you're keeping your distance. Not in that sense, but in a sense, I have my bubble with my energy, and now other people are going to. And frankly, I have to do that, and you know that. You know, as a pastor, you have to do that all the time, because if you allow people, and people usually come with problems, with issues. You have to go to hospitals. You have to go to funerals. You have to witness a lot of negative outbursts of emotion and energy. And if you don't surround yourself with your personal positive energy, it wears you out like this, and you're done. You're busted. And so many times it happened to me that I spent time with somebody for an hour, and I'm done for the day. Like I really, I feel that Paul is talking about this mental bubble over here. Because he's actively saying, if there is anything worthy of praise and so on, he says, think about these things. That means when you're by yourself, you're driving to an appointment, you're wrapping yourself with the positive, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, pure, lovely, commendable, excellence. Like, he is encouraging us to set ourselves with these thoughts. And then you walk into a room where you're going to get into a conflict, or you're going to be crying with somebody, or you're going to be, whatever it is, you are ready. You are protected, and you will have the ability to actually spread this vibe, So the balance in your, and this especially applies to our professional lives. I mean, all of us here, I bet on a daily basis, deal with people who are not positive. People come with physical pains to you guys. People come with financial pains to you guys, and like both of them hurt equally. So you have to be in balance with mental balance with yourself first. Like what you were describing, what you were going through. Like last week, really not liking life and so on. That was complete out of balance compared to how life is described, how actually our personal state is supposed to be as described over here. And when you read this, ironically, this seems to be out of balance. Think about it. Like all of the things that Paul mentioned over here, literally all of them are super positive. You see? And it really feels like all of the weights, like everything is pushed to one side. Why is he doing that?
Give us a mirror.
Oh, okay.
I think of seeing the commandments as a personal mirror that we can use to reflect and think about, well, I don't look like this yet. Because if we use our own mirrors, we're going to be like, we look great. We're positive. I'm healthy. I'm great. But we need something as stark as that, as positive as it could be, as where we need to, where the goal is supposed to be at, the marker, the end goal and meet, so that you're able to use that as a reference.
This food is getting so distracting. Please, yes.
So I think this is a reference as a mirror.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Hot.
So hot. I'm so sorry. No, you don't have to be sorry. Thank you.
You see, it's so super hot, and you're still like, no, I'm going through it. Like,
For me.
Oh my gosh.
that is funny. Another aspect for me, why Paul is telling us that this is the proper 9 to 5. Thank you very much. Ooh, this looks nice. The proper balance is because the moment you walk out, we are mostly bombarded with negative. Unless you're like really super lucky and you really work in an environment where everybody has this attitude, yes. But essentially, the moment you sit in the car and drive on the roads, you will be bombarded with negative, with rush, with cutting off, with the lights, with constant, And then, essentially, when you walk out of your personal space with this mindset, by the end of the day, you get balanced out, But if you don't walk out of your personal space with these things, guess what happens? Like tipping towards negative happens very easy and very fast.
Do you guys want food? Oh.
Don't be shy, there's plenty.
We can always have it quick.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel very pressed all the time.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. Let's go to Let's go to Genesis. We already know this verse, but let's just read it anyways. Genesis 2, verses 2 and 3. Excuse me, I'll be back in a second, just gotta blow my nose. In the meantime, we're gonna talk about time balance. Whoops, time balance right now. So Genesis chapter 2, verses 2 and 3.
Chapter 2 and 3. Chapter 2, verses 2 and 3.
Verses 2 and 3. Okay.
2, 2, and 3.
Thank you. Got confused. I'm gonna get a paper towel for this food.
So what is it that is so spicy? You have
It's just
jalapeno?
It was not spicy. It was so hot.
It just came from the oven.
Oh,
I just got it out of the
okay.
oven. Soup? Look at it.
No. Yes. Oh, somebody's eating and then they're giving you.
Also, you
And if there's more you can want some. I'll try it.
Yeah. There.
This small intermission of ours.
Do you hear me now? Oh, okay. We love it, we live it, we identify with it. And it's a time balance. No, it's an odd time balance, as described over here. How do you spend your Saturdays? Tell me that. How do you spend your Sabbaths? Are they really a rest? Not a rest. Are they really restful? Hello.
Because it's the day that we break up from all the routine and all the work, then we try to cram too much. It's like so much in one single day. This is the day we finally go for a bike ride. And this is the day that we go and try to read as much as possible at the Denver Seminary. And we need to visit this and this other person and make these phone calls, and then it's just one thing after another. Just too much. And then the next day is out of work. And it's
So
like,
you need to take rest from Sabbath.
From Sabbath, yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's for- It is.
Why is that happening? I mean, you're nodding your head. Didn't say anything, but how do you guys usually spend?
Visiting friends, family. Sometimes we just go home and become one with the couch. Where it's like we forget times we're like, oh, we didn't have time to do that. That's a week.
So essentially, Saturday is either going to be super busy because so many things that are left to be done, like on different levels, not professional, not 9 to 5 thing, but everything else thing, or it's a total crash. But do you sense the lack of balance there?
Yeah.
So, where do we fail?
I think it's boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Because on a Saturday, I want to do, like right after church, we want to go eat and then we want to hang out. Like if I'm not mentally prepared for it, if I'm not emotionally like there, I need to say no. But a lot of the times it's like, well, I haven't seen you in a while, and like we haven't spent time together. But it's also that time of like, I haven't fully rested, so I need to take care of myself as well. So it's, I feel like it's those boundaries.
So yeah, we don't draw that. Either we don't draw those boundaries clearly, or we just don't respect our own boundaries. Now, when you guys read, it's kind of cool. So God does all of these things, creates, and then he takes a day off, and he rests. And interestingly enough, like Adam's first day was a day off, if you think about it. Huh? He's like, okay, what are we going to do? Nothing, just chill. Just sit down, relax. So, we don't know in our society anymore how to relax. We don't know how to rest. Like what you just described is actually an example of how we see rest. Rest still needs to be invigorating. Rest still needs to be active and filled with stuff because we have this routine in our 9 to 5s where everything is invigorating, active, and full of stuff and going on. And now Saturday comes and we actually don't really rest a lot of times. We just replace activities. Like, let's put this, we switch worldly activities with holy activities. You know, let's name it like that. But the effect on our body and our mind is the same. What would be, so since you brought it up, what would be an actual Sabbath that would bring you guys rest? That you would really be, after that on Sunday morning, like, that was really restful, now we can go on with the week. How would that actually look like?
Well, for starters, we don't eat until 5 because we stay reading too long because they close at 5 at the Denver Seminary. So that's when finally we go. So, like 2 hours I'm dying of hunger there, right? I need to eat. I would correct that. Probably that's the first thing to correct because I don't like to be hungry that long. Because we're still recuperating. By the way, this last Thursday we finished our physical therapy finally because we had a car crash in January, but still we're not 100% at all. We're still alone.
Ways to go.
Yeah. But I feel we're trying to do too much. We're already, we need to go hiking and we need to, we want to do all the stuff that we used to do and we're not there yet. But sometimes we push and then we pay for it for a few days. And so probably I just like a gentle walk instead of trying to kill the mice with a bike. Last Saturday, I badly made it home.
The what?
Last Saturday, we went biking. I badly made it.
Oh, barely made it. Oh, okay.
I was dying. I wanted just throw away their bike and sit down and okay, my legs are killing me and my back and everything. So I like, of course, go and have a gentle stroll. By the end of the Sabbath, that would be lovely. And just, it is nice to rest your mind. Right? That's very nice, and I think I got it. Once the Sabbath starts, I stop thinking about clients and all that. Yeah, I got that very well, but still, it's the physical aspect that bothers me. How I'm still tired. All the time, I'm tired. In part, is because of the injuries.
Okay.
That they still, the massages and everything and the adjustments, they still moving things internally. And my body is kind of tired of all that stuff.
Okay. So idea of a restful Sabbath is just absolutely nothing.
So, COVID happened, and everyone got to do nothing. And I like that you said that we don't go to like a strenuous hike. Can we go for a gentle walk? Maybe a gentle bike ride instead of a strenuous bike ride. The muscles, as a massage therapist, when you do nothing, surprisingly become tighter. You need to move to feel rest. And when you say like rest is an active thing, that's something that we need to do. Walk, do gentle walking, gentle stretching. Maybe you already prepared the food beforehand so you don't feel like you're overloading yourself with having to make a meal. Things a lot more slower pace. Taking time to meditate on the word and also go through what's going on with your mind, journal, so that way the thoughts that you have bombarding your mind, you're able to finally pen down and say, these are the things that can happen. And personally for me, I schedule them out, so that way I see that I don't have to do them tomorrow. I can do this one on Monday, I can do this one on Tuesday, I can do this one next Wednesday. And so I don't feel like I have so much to do. When we had a lot of people come back after COVID, a lot of them were surprised that their muscles were tighter. Angrier, they were stressed, they were exhausted, they didn't understand why doing nothing didn't help them out. And I had to explain to them that you have to move, unfortunately, because motion is lotion.
Oh, okay, I like that.
Right?
That's cool.
Right?
Yeah.
And it could be again, taking a bath. But taking care of yourself is a very active process. I mean, as much as we want to sit back on the couch and become a couch potato, and that is okay for maybe like if you time yourself for 30 minutes, an hour at most, maybe one in the morning, one in the evening, so you don't still stay stuck on the couch and then you feel like you wasted your day, your mental health, you feel exhausted from watching TV or watching phone, overstimulated still. So definitely things to think about.
The balance in time is like the way that God presents into balance in time is like you technically need 1/7 of your time to rest, to recover. So you work, take 1/7 of your time and then go back to it. Now, I was always imagining how would that look like in a day, like during the day. Like if you're working for 8 hours, take 1 hour. If you're working 8 hours, like in the middle of it or whenever, take an hour to do nothing. Take an hour of a break. Usually, I look at my schedule. So my schedule is very fluid, pretty much all the time. I have stuff I need to do, and then most accountability is my own, where I determine when am I going to do these things. I make my own schedule. So I have my 9 to 5s that are fairly repetitive, but creative enough that they don't look alike, you know. But nevertheless, a lot of times, especially Hello? A lot of times, especially when you're busy, it's upstairs. Uh, 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 when you know when you're busy, when you have the schedule of things to do, things to check off your list, it starts in the morning and it doesn't end until the afternoon or evening or whenever. And then you realize, yeah, this was so good, like so many things done, achieved, accomplished, but I feel like I just wanna useless. Like after that, you know when you get home, you sit down and everything just collapses on you. And like I can't even get up. I don't even have the strength to get up and do anything. I believe that is where we lack balance in time. Because if I was balancing my time properly and I was taking my time throughout the day, that seventh of a time, to actually get rest, get recharged a little bit, whatever, I would not feel like that. You should not ever feel like that, like completely beat down and shattered. What I started doing this year, and it's awesome and it's amazing. So you guys know that field behind the church that we have. We don't mow it anymore, we just let it grow. It's turning into a marsh. We have a whole bunch of animals and birds and reptilians over there. It's pretty cool. But what's really cool about it, in the shade of those big trees, I set a bench over there. And now, like every 2-3 hours, like 2-3 times a day, I would take 15 minutes. I would just go over there. I'll leave my phone in the office, leave everything. Like I'm completely disconnected over there. And I'm just 15 minutes, I'm there. With no agenda, no schedule, no, like and we talked about that before, like if thoughts come, like I just let them pass by. Because so many times I would sit over there for like 15 minutes and have no recollection of anything, because I was constantly thinking about the things that I have to do. So I'm like, no, I'm stopping. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm over there and I try to get lost in the ambience, in the wind, in the trees and treetops above my head, in the movement of the grass, in the like wasps flying around, in just listening. It's actually shocking how Arvada is noisy. Arvada is so freaking noisy, it's so loud over there, but you don't notice that until you stop and actually listen. Like, whoa, this is noisy. You know? But this year I noticed the difference. Like I seriously accomplish more when I take these breaks. And then later on in the afternoon, like Jasmine and I, okay, we're going for a walk, we're going to do this. And I'm like, okay, let's go. Yeah, feels good. You know? The balance in time really plays a big role. On a weekly basis, definitely, but on a daily basis as well. And then changing of the rhythm. So that's why Saturday is like, don't do anything. Like God was pretty specific. You don't do anything, and nobody around you should do anything. Just take the time for one thing only, to remember that I am your God, Creator, who made everything in 6 days and then took a break on the seventh day. And okay, that's my Monday, kind of. And I'm not doing it the way I'm supposed to. Very often slack on my day of rest. But for you guys, when Saturday comes, I would encourage you to rethink it. Okay, we get together here in the mornings. We take the time for the worship service, which we should do. But the rest of the day, like getting filled out like that, is just another day. And it takes a toll on us physically, mentally, spiritually as well. You know? The whole idea of the end of Sabbath day is like, I'm so full of energy, of positivity, of spirit, and I'm so looking forward to this coming week. Instead of like, okay, I gotta take a nap, you know. And let's finish up, the last, and we have just enough time to read that. I love this verse. This verse is very controversial and very odd, and it's making a really interesting point. Find the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7. And somebody please read verses 16 and 17. Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verses 16 and 17.
Be not overly righteous, and do not make yourself too wise. Why should you destroy yourself? Be not overly wicked, neither be a fool. Why should you die before your time?
Let's talk about this balance. Let's talk about the moral balance in our 9 to 5. What do you guys hear in this verse? What does this passage tell you?
Ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is bliss indeed.
But also you have to like balance it all. You need to not be over righteous, neither be over wise. Don't be a fool, but don't be over wicked. So it's like that, finding that balance, like that perfect medium.
It sounds like, go ahead.
I'm so sorry. Be not overly wicked. So a little bit wicked is okay.
Exactly, yeah. And don't be overly righteous, so a little bit unrighteous is okay as well. Sounds like yin and yang, right?
I love Ecclesiastics for this. It's just like the cool dude just in the back. I'm like, it's okay.
Pretty much, yeah.
Just chill.
But the question, the real question over here is, what kind of a balance is hidden in this message? What kind of a balance is actually Solomon trying to tell us about?
I see it as this. If I were to see it as food, eat good food. But occasionally it's okay to have a burger. It's okay to have a slice of pizza. On occasion, not all the time. You can't be like overly eating that and then expecting that you're going to be enjoying your life either.
Okay.
And then the same thing could be said with any other area of our lives. To have kindness and patience for our own selves, understand that we are humans, reaching for God, but have grace for our own selves, patience for our own selves.
Okay. All right. Thank you. What about your professional lives? How do you apply this into your professional lives? In your 9 to 5?
I have so much to say, but you should say something too. You should say something too. I've been really, really thinking about grinding and just being overly zealous in my work. Just like, if I just work this hard for this long, then I can rest and not have to work so hard because everything would be paid off. But then I think, if I pass away tomorrow, did I enjoy my life? Or did I focus so much on this one little portion, thinking that I was going to get rewarded later, and I missed out on my relationship with my husband. I missed out on the relationship with my family. I missed out on my own health. And so it's kind of like been a battle of trying to figure out what is the best course of action for my life, where I can get things paid off, but at the same time enjoy my living, existing.
Thank you. Thank you. No, I don't want any. Thank you. And you know, it's really weird thing when you don't hear well. You really have to read lips. Like seriously, you really have to kind of pick up. So, for me, one thing that was really striking in here, and pretty much Laura addressed that as well, is we know that we are not perfect. And the older we get, the more we are aware of our, not just imperfections, but our limitations. And this ideal of righteousness is unattainable to us until we are transformed at the second coming and we become new people, renewed the way that Adam and Eve were at the time. But right now we're not. We're like halfway there. You know? It's kind of that Bon Jovi song. Like seriously. Yeah. He's like, it's like at his age, he's like 3/4 there at this point. You know? But this is the basic idea is this. We will never achieve the ideal. So let's stop bothering ourselves with it. The real balance inside of me is the balance of objective expectations. You know? Can I get fit and ripped in the next 6 months and look like a GQ model? Yeah, I could.
You never know.
Huh?
You never know. You could.
No, yeah, I have no doubts. Yeah, I know that I could, but do I need that? Do I want that? You know, is that really going to be beneficial to me and to people around me? Not necessarily. I prefer the puffs, you know? It's like, but no, but I'm just saying, the whole idea, that's the whole idea of this over here. Because first time I remember reading this verse, it was really confusing. Like, why wouldn't you be overly righteous? Like, isn't that the point? Aren't we supposed to be like that? Especially in our professional sphere and the things that we do. Shouldn't we do everything right? But what Laura mentioned, and that was on my mind, is that this concept of grace. Grace towards yourself and grace towards people around you. You know, just be gracious. You know, keep the balance of grace alive. And then same applies to the second part of the verse, to the verse 17. It says, be not overly wicked, neither be a fool. Why should you die before your time? In the same way, you know, it's very easy to be negative, especially towards people who keep repeating same mistakes again and again, people who don't want to change, people who you are kind of forced to be with, but they're dragging you down. Same applies to them. You know, cut them some slack. You know, cut yourself some slack when you eat that cookie that you really know you shouldn't have had it. Or when in moment of tiredness or frustration you say things you shouldn't have said. Don't beat yourself up. Go fix it, apologize, and move on. A lot of people beat themselves up because they're trying to be overly righteous, or they feel that they're overly wicked. So the balance, and I believe that this is where we see God's grace in this balance, because He looks at us, we make mistakes all the time, and what does He tell us? Come to me, I'll forgive you. You know, you don't have to do this, you don't have to do that, you don't have to work it off. No, just come to me. We'll figure it out. Time will come when it will pass, but right now, don't be overly righteous, you know, and don't be overly wicked, but balance it out. So, these areas of balance that we talked about today, I think if we really put an effort to focus on it, it can start improving our lives, like starting today even, you know. It can improve your Sabbath experience. It can improve your work experience with annoying children of God around you. But we need to be mindful of these things. We need to remember these balances, you know, to remember, to have them in mind, and to notice when we get out of whack, when we are pushed out of balance, like what you described. You know, you noticed it by the time, but you were already down. It was already too late. You know, noticing it sooner would probably prevent going that far down. And all of these things require our mindfulness, our presence in the moment, instead of our occupation with what happened and what's going to happen. Last verse that I'm going to read, and we can close with that, and we can have a prayer. I'll just read it. You guys know it. Matthew 6:33. But seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. you have literally all these things that we talk about, all these things that John mentioned when he talked to Gaius, when he tells him, all these things are over here, and all these things are balanced out when we seek the kingdom of God. It's like that little counterweight that keeps everything in place. You know, and that's the way we do it. You know? We're focused on that, and then everything else falls in place. Hopefully my allergies as well. I've been like last 15 minutes like, nope. Thank you.
In your time, those 15 minutes that you take several times a day at the back of the church,
Uh-huh.
and I wear a mask. So you don't deprive yourself of these breaks, but you shouldn't be feeling that much better.
That is a very good, that's something I didn't think about.
Say that
Talk
again?
about it like,
She's saying
oh, go ahead.
the allergies.
To put a mask on when I go over there.
At the back of the church.
Yes. I did not think of that at all, and you're so right. Yeah. Yeah, because I mean I can't really connect, but pretty much yeah, over there if there is a place where I would be exposed the most, that is there, and then
Yeah.
yeah. It's brutal. It's like you can't like get some break.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah. Okay, I'll definitely have that in mind this week. Huh? That's yeah.
Clean room.
You see, I don't have issues like that.
just here.
Yes, it's just the nasal, the breathing pathways. Yeah. And lately, actually, this week is the first time that I noticed it with my ears. I've never had it before, so it's getting worse.
Nitty pot.
And I do that, but
When I was 19, I had so much allergies. Just had like a permanent inflammation.
Oh, wow.
And then I started going deaf.
oh wow.
It took me 6 months of allergy treatments and things to recuperate my hearing.
Okay, wow.
Because it got really bad.
Now you're scaring me.
Yeah. I'm concerned about you, all this pain here. Because everything is connected.
Yeah. I know. Yeah, nose, throat, ears, like all that stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, this is disturbing. This is like,
So much hope and then boom.
yeah, seriously, yeah.
Take care of that.
Balance.
Yeah. Okay. You guys are killing me. Okay. Let's close with a prayer, and anybody would like to pray? Lou, excellent.
Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this day, for this week that we just received and we're ending today. We ask that you give us wisdom to avoid all extremes and to keep a balance as you designed us to. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.